Welcome back with our main topic today. Well, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi returned home on Tuesday after participating in the UN climate change in Glasgow, and the president during his visit have met with the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and also President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi addressed the summit of the climate change. We're going to have a look about the speech delivered by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi before the conference. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host, have with us over the phone our dear guest, Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning, Ambassador Basseem.
Good morning.
Ambassador Basseem, now President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi returned after participating in the climate change conference in Glasgow. So how do you see the importance of Egypt's participation headed by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as he was presenting Egypt and also the African countries?
Definitely the presence of President al-Sisi in this very important gathering had a lot of significance. And apart from the very important bilateral meetings that he had with different leaders of the world, and maybe the first friendly encounter with the Prince of Qatar, it has a lot of significance. But let's go back to the subject of the conference. In his speech, concise, precise, to the point before this gathering, this universal gathering, who had like more than 120 leaders of the world attending, that had 20,000 participants between negotiators, business communities, media, activists, NGOs, civil society. Before all this, in his speech, there was three main axes, if one can say so. The first one was the Egyptian national effort to fulfill the agreement reached in Paris. And Paris on climate change represents the milestone, the basic reference that is used to compare the achievement and the failure of the different countries in fulfilling their mission. So about Egypt, he spoke about the model of sustainable development, where the climate change and adapting to its impact is the main point. And the point of Egypt, or the goal of Egypt, is to reach green projects, governmentally financed, to 50% in 2025 and 100% in 2030. Again, he spoke about Egypt's project for an amalgamation of classical energy and new and renewed sources of energy. Also, the efforts to have what we could call the clean transportation, using more electricity, and also the establishment of smart villages, smart cities. On the other hand, he also mentioned the international aspect, and he criticized the fact that developed countries do not fulfill their commitment towards developing countries, despite they are the main source of pollution and of gas emissions. And he reminds those developed countries to do to fulfill their commitment by providing the finance that was promised in Paris and which is of $100 billion every year to finance the climate change and its impact in developing countries.
Yes, yes.
On the third part, and I come to what you have mentioned, he spoke about African countries. Egypt is the African negotiator. It's the negotiator who speaks on behalf of the African continent in those multilateral international negotiations. And he clearly pointed out that despite Africa is not the responsible for the climate crisis or the climate change challenge, it is the most region that is facing the negativity of the phenomena of climate change with economic, social, security and political negative impact. And he called to give Africa a special place as far as the financing for climate change.
Yes.
Of course, his presence also very good signal to the intention of Egypt to host the next COP next year in Egypt.
Yes, Ambassador Basseem, actually President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed Egypt's keenness to host the 2022 climate change conference, and also the President, as he addressed the climate change summit in Glasgow, he said that Egypt took several firm measures in order to improve environment and climate conditions, and also the President highlighted the importance of international support to the developing countries in order to commit to preserving climate. And he also pointed out that Egypt issued its first green bonds for improving environment to reach this aim. What's your comment, Your Excellency, Ambassador Basseem?
You cannot one cannot pretend or fight for a principle as national developmental goal without starting by home first. And in this, the President addressed first or showed first what was Egypt doing to face the climate change and its negative impact, particularly for achieving the goal of 1.5 centigrade of warming. First, as I said, we spoke about the sustainable development model that Egypt is adopting and working on. We spoke about the new and renewable energy, hoping that we reach renewable energy level in the whole consumption energy in Egypt to 42% by 2035. He also spoke about the different projects of infrastructure and transfer to clean energy using electricity in the cars, in the trains, in the metro network, and also the cleaning and the use of water and how to rationalize this use and the comprehensive management of coastal regions, and also Egypt made an innovation in its own history by issuing the bond, what is called the first edition of the green bond, with a value of $750 million.
Yes.
We are also preparing, and this is what mentioned, the president is launched very soon, the national strategy for climate change 2050. And that will be a sort of complement for the developmental efforts of the country, and aim to counterpart the negative impact of the pandemic.
Yes.
I'm through with what is Egypt doing for on the national level, fulfilling its commitment.
Yes, Your Excellency, Ambassador Basseem, also President Fattah al-Sisi, during attending this conference, there were sidelines meetings beside his visit to Glasgow. He met with the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He also, President Sisi, met with the President of the Royal College for Physicians, and also some of the world leaders and presidents. So how do you see the importance of the sideline meetings? You've mentioned this at the start of our conversation. How do you see the importance of the sideline meetings in such a conference in getting the points of views of both countries, Egypt and other countries, more closer?
Well, usually this kind of international gatherings at that very high level, presidents and leaders of the world, is always a good chance not only to attend and participate in the conference and to present the national efforts and points of view and the country's belief in the how to success, to make these conferences a success, and not only a platform for speeches, to take the practical steps to implement what commitments we take. But these conferences are usually a golden opportunity for leaders of the world from different regions of the world with different issues of common concern to meet on the sideline. Thus, President Sisi has managed to meet with several leaders, with several secretary generals of the different international organizations, whether the Secretary General of the UN, whether the Secretary General of the United Nations Program of Environment, and as we said, we met names with Prime Johnson, and they discussed the bilateral relations. They expressed their satisfaction at the level these bilateral relations are reached, and they committed their utmost to boost even more these bilateral relations in all areas: economic, social, cultural, anti-terrorism cooperation. You can take. On the other hand, we congratulate Mr. John on his ability to, and his, of course, to prepare and set up such an conference that is becoming the most important issue tackled by the world at the level of economy, environment, combating poverty, and now even the climate change has become one of the subjects by the concerns of the human rights. He met with French President Macron. He was able also to meet with other leaders. He met with, as you said, the president of the cabinet, and this really was quite a good opportunity to talk about so many subjects, not only on the international level, but also on the international level, with all the challenges the Middle East is facing now between Libya, Syria, the situation in Sudan, the latest, the impact of the latest election in Iraq, the eminent talk expected to be Iran at the Cyprus platform on the renewal of the nuclear agreement with Iran. There was a lot of subjects that our leader, President, was able to discuss on the sideline in his very fruitful visit to Brazil.
Yes, Ambassador Basseem, Your Excellency, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, in his speech before the UN Climate Change Conference, expressed or showed Egypt's keenness to host the Climate Change Conference for the year 2022. So, what you see are the steps, the right steps that Egypt took in order to be capable to host such a conference, and Egypt's keenness to produce clean energy, and also even in the field of transportation, the electric cars, many national projects were going in this way. So could you please comment on Egypt's keenness to host the conference?
Egypt has always participated very actively in all negotiations, conferences, and agreements to implement the outcome of these conferences as far as climate change is concerned. The second element is that Egypt is and since many years, the African negotiators in the regional and international negotiations taking climate change, and climate change was in the focus of the plan of presidency of the African Union, and it continues to be at the heart of its interest for the future of the African continent. So Egypt is still its own national plan is a showcase for trying to reach the level clean energy of sustainable development without pollution, has this strategy. Of course, the challenges are many. The responsibility is not only on the state, but also on the citizens and the population. The need of awareness and the need of finance, of course. And speaking on behalf of the African Egypt, being a full-fledged member of the developing country community, Egypt is very well placed to host, on behalf of Africa, in Egypt next year, next conference of the climate change, where the leaders will take and accept what has been achieved from the outputs of Paris Conference on Climate Change, on the acceptance taken, made in Glasgow of the state, and see what had in this very important topic.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time, for your valuable information. It was really a great pleasure to have this phone with you, Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Well, I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for following me in this segment. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I leave you now with my colleague, Shireen Adil.